but I'll turn this off.
Okay, good. Thank you so much for inviting me. Thank you for very nice words. This morning, Franciscan priest asked me, tell me, what the Jesuit talk about Franciscans. We have a lot of story about between Franciscan and Jesuit and Dominican, blah blah blah. But I said that since I live, on the Franciscan property, I have to be nice. Anyway, when I got an invitation for this talk, in my mind, there's so many things that I really want to share with you. And I thought 1 hour is not enough. We could spend an hour or days or months here. Well, in my mind, we could talk about Vietnamese church, the Vietnamese history, about the religious life, about the vocation, about the Vietnam War, about the Jesuit, about the evangelization, and so many things, packed in 1 hour. And including the program that I helped in the beginning, the formation support for Vietnam. What was that? Okay. I think that's it. Yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah. So, So the theme is about God is my light. Yeah, I know that God is my light. They are essential about life. So I try to put everything together in this. But first of all, I want to, start, the very basic, question: why I'm here? Why the Lithuanian groups, have a Vietnamese priest, here? I don't know. It's kind of odd, I remember when I was in Baltimore. They usually have the annual gathering of the Irish people, And then, in Lithuania, it's a huge stadium, like thousand Irish on the feast of Saint Patrick. And they called me and said, Father, I want you to say Mass, for our Irish people. Wow. I said, no, I'm not, the Irish. But I was born in Vietnam, But I live with some Irish people. I eat, the food, St. Patrick Day. I said, you are qualified. So anyway, I said Mass for him. So now is another opportunity to be here with all of you. One of the things I'm very impressed by all of you, since I came here yesterday, that all of you are bilingual. And you can speak, both languages perfectly. Wow, that is amazing. My nephews was born here. All of them, a second generation. They gave up Vietnamese, and so they speak only English at home, at the school, and it's hard, for them to speak Vietnamese. And I think that's a common problem for many immigrants and ethnic groups. Anyway, so. Why I'm here? Well, like he mentioned about, I contact so many religious order for the convents for Vietnamese sisters who come here to study. And they need to stay in the convents. They cannot stay in the dorms or in the family houses, So they have to stay in the convent. And I call many university, Catholic university, because I work in that field, higher education. So I asked them, if they have houses and the scholarship. And in Proctor, there is a Catholic university, they call it Stonehill College, right? So the the Holy Cross, sorry. The Holy Cross Father offered some scholarship for the nuns. So I called them and they offered a full scholarship. But another thing is that they need the room and board. So I called the sister, crucified sister, and I called your Mother Superior. Her name is Sister Mary Valerie. That's a very French name. So, and then I called her and then she said, oh yeah, welcome. And then, and then later on, I found that that's a Lithuanian, a convent. So that's what the first time I interacted with Lithuanian. And one of the things I learned from them is ačiū, right? Yeah, that's an easy way to say thank you. Okay. So that is the first one. The second one is like he mentioned, Catholicism is not about, us and God. It's not about our personal relationship with God, okay? But it's about, like the cross. The cross have the vertical and horizontal, right? The vertical is between us and God, but also, between us and others, right? So as a Catholic, well, he mentioned about a 30-day retreat. I just, completed in the summer. One of the meditation I pray and things that it's not about me. It's not about my prayer. It's not about I love God. It's not about I trust God. It's about us. How we could love one another. We can love God, abstractly, but to love a real person is a challenging. And that's it, the requirement, I think, to be a Catholic. So that's the thing I talk with many students at the college. They said that, oh, Father, I'm spiritual but not religious. Oh, I just believe in God. I don't believe in religion. Religion have so messy. But they said that, you cannot do that. As a Catholic, you have to trust one another. Okay. So another thing that why I'm here. Be honest with you, I love evangelization. Evangelization is part of Jesus' command. At the end of the gospel, if you read the gospel, Matthew 28, you find that at the end of his life on the earth, he said that go through the world and proclaim the good news. So I thought that to be a Catholic, it's not about, going to church, have a good time, feeling good, have peace, and wonderful in our family, and then that's it, We don't have to worry anything else. I think evangelization is very important, it's relevant today. So whatever I'm doing right now for the nuns, for the priests, or for Vietnamese, it's part of the universal call from Jesus in evangelization. And I think that Pope Francis is very clear, very, much advocated for this, okay? So that's why I'm here. And another thing is that since I live in, Franciscan property, we have a lot of story about Jesuit and Franciscan. You want to hear a joke about Jesuit? We have a whole book about Jesuit jokes. Yeah. All right. One day, traditionally, right? We know that when we die and then we call into heaven. But the first thing you need to do is you see Peter, right? You see Peter, and at the gate. And right at the gate, there's so many religious, so many lay people, holy people gathered together right at the gate. And we saw a lot, plentiful, Franciscan, Dominican, diocesan priests, lay people, I guess, including Lithuanians up there. Yeah. So, and people, wonder, what's going on? And suddenly, the bell ring, bang, 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 and make a lot of noises. I said, that's very weird. What's going on? Is that a special day? And they asked Peter, I said, why is so noisy? Is that the special day? Is it the splendid festival? I said, look down, on the way, from the earth to the heaven. Do you see anything down there? I said, no. We haven't seen anything yet. I said, let me tell you this. Today is so special because we have not seen any Jesuit come here for a long time. I can say this, you hear, but I have to keep my mouth shut, when I go back there to my Jesuit community. But anyway, I love Jesuit. Jesuit, and someone asked me that, I never seen the Jesuit in black. I said, if you see a Jesuit, you see only one Jesuit. We don't have a uniform. So we are very diversified and we are in the discernment of the Spirit. So anyway, so that's why each person have, their own style. But we share something common, yeah. All right, Next one. I thought this is very relevant from Pope Francis. Gaudete exsultate. No one is a long island. It's from Thomas Melton phrase. But he said that in salvation history, the Lord saved one people. We are never completely ourselves unless we belong to a people of God. Okay? That's why no one is saved alone as an isolated individual. Rather, God draws us to himself, taking into account the complex fabric of interpersonal relationship present in a human community. God wanted to enter into the life and history of a people. So we never been by ourselves. Like I said, we are interconnected. Whether we are Lithuanian, Americans, Vietnamese, or whoever, we are one people of God. So let me talk about the history of the Vietnam. This is a very brief one. I know that you know, some of you even, some of you was in Vietnam, right? You're a Vietnam veteran? Okay. So Vietnam was established, we believe, for more than 4,000 years ago, okay? And we have struggled for many years with China. China invaded Vietnam and tried to assimilate all of us to Chinese culture. And later on, France colonized Vietnam from 1897 to 1945 after the battlefield in Dien Bien Phu. So, and then France withdrew from Vietnam. And later on, the U.S. Took over in 1954, and after the Geneva Agreement to separate the country to the north and south, like Korea, North Korea and South Korea. So we were separate by the north, belonged to the communists, and the south belonged to the Republican government. Okay, so in 1975, the communists took over the entire country. So right now, Vietnam is only one country. Okay, there is no more north or south, but only one, under one party communist government. When I talk about Lithuanian, I say that, wow, this is very interesting. I'm very interested in communist experience because I live during the communist time. I was born in 1971, and then 75, the communists took over the South. So I lived there for 15 years. Yeah. So I know, the communists, and I learned a lot about, Eastern European country during the time of Soviet Union. We learned a lot. I was forced to learn Russian also. But we skip Russian and try to learn English. So that's it. The history of Vietnam, but France especially have the special impact on the Church of Vietnam and the people of Vietnam. One of the things I will mention that the Catholicism were introduced into Vietnam in the early 16th century, and then 17th, 18th century a group of Jesuit, Franciscan, Dominican, and later on the group of missionary from the Paris. They arrived there and they evangelized the entire country. But the Jesuit, one of the success of a Jesuit mission is to create the new language for Vietnam. In the old days, Vietnamese have to use Chinese, as a writing system. But the Jesuit from France, his name is Father Alexander Roth. Right? He created the new language, used alphabetical, Latin, and then with the accent tones, so to create the new language for the Vietnamese nowadays. Yeah. So that is one of the history. Talking about the Catholic Church, like I said, that it was introduced in the 16th century by many missionaries from Portugal and Spain. Okay? And Jesuit developed the simple catechism programs. I remember, when we were young, I don't know about yours, I look at the program that he created or someone he created, said that, wow, you are much more than what we learn, for lay people in Vietnam. We just learn, Our Father, Hail Mary, Glory be, and very basic catechism. If you ask many Catholic, Vietnamese Catholic, you say, why Jesus was nailed on the cross? They could not answer, Believe me. They say, oh, that's it about the faith, we believe, Oh, you say that, why Mary was assumption, to the heaven? They have no idea. They just believe. My mom is very simple. My mom is, come from this catechism. The only thing, she knows is just going to the church, recite the Holy Rosary every day. That's it, very simple. And like you said this morning, the Catholic, believe that we don't need to read the Bible at all. Yeah, I remember you might know Father Daniel Harrington. He's the author in the Biblical Abstract. He passed away already. I took his class at Boston College. So when he was young, right, his mom, he lived with his mom, and then two guys, I think that from Jehovah's Witness or Mormon, knocked the door, and his mom opened the door, and they said, oh, we want to show you the Bible. We want to teach you about Jesus, Saint Paul. Why you worship Mary? Okay, we will show you the Bible. And then, Father Dan Harrington's mom, said that, well, we are Catholic. We don't read the Bible at all. Go away. And then he shut the door. She shut the door. So he learned from that. And then he promised himself that when he grew up, he have to learn the Bible. And so that's why he became a biblical scholar. So talking about the catechism, and then we have a Catholic Church in Vietnam, like Japan, China, Korea. There was a lot of misunderstanding in the early evangelization. Asian, we are in the pluralistic environment. There are so many religions at that time. Buddhism, Confucianism, Taoism, and Christianity is very early in the history. So in Asian, one of the misunderstandings that we venerated the ancestors. Okay? If you go to some Vietnamese houses, besides, for the Catholic, family, you see a lot of, the statues in the house. The statues of Mary, Jesus, Joseph. But also there's another altar. And they put a lot of, the picture of their ancestor, their grandparent, great-grandparent. And we venerated them. We believe that to honor our parent, our grandparent, that is a blessing for us. Okay? So that's another reason a Vietnamese sister get along so well with Lithuanian or American sister, because we were trained to honor the elderly. That's part of the Confucianism. We believe that the elderly have a lot of wisdom, okay, that you need to learn from them. Unfortunately, young people nowadays, they don't have that, belief. But we have to honor. When I was young, I was taught that you have to, venerate. You have to show the honor, respect your parent, the elderly, your grandparent. Okay, so that's why it's misunderstanding when Vietnamese venerate the elderly, the ancestor. And the missionary come and say that we worship only one God. We don't worship other, even the ancestor or, other people. So we call that a Chinese rite, that the controversy. And another thing that misunderstand that in Asia, they allow polygamy, right? So man can get married with many wives and concubines. The king have a polygamy. So when they become the Catholic, they need to give up that tradition, and that is very difficult for them. So and some of the fear about the foreign invasion, Vietnam, and so the king, tried to persecute it, suppress Christian. Once you become a Christian, you have to. They put them in the prison. They torture them as long as they renounce, the faith. And so the king, killed more than 300,000, Christian in the beginning. And so in 1998, John Paul II canonized 118 of them to be the Catholic holy martyrs, for Vietnam. I want to mention about this, because I thought that this is the history, this is the tradition, this is the root that we need to learn, we need to believe. And I taught this with so many young Vietnamese people. I said that we, as a Vietnamese, we learn from Confucianism. We need to, learn how to be, grateful. We need to apply and practice the gratitude. And I said that why, Vietnamese religious and priests now travel everywhere in the world and do missionary everywhere. In Africa, in Rome, in South America, not only Jesuit, I believe Franciscan, Dominican, Salesian, Vietnamese travel everywhere. I found that more than 100 Vietnamese right now working in more than 35 countries in Africa right now. Yeah, unbelievable. Even in the the very difficult situation in the majority dominant Muslim country like Mauritania. I can't believe it. Some Vietnamese nuns, they live there. The whole country, Mauritania, have only 5 or 6 nuns and 1 or 2 priests for the entire country, and 99% are Muslim. So when I talk about this, I said that because we come from the country with Christian persecution, we learn this from the martyr tradition, who laid down their life just for the faith. I think that is the why, the seed of the martyr, the blood, become, the faith, become the faith, the plan for our faith. So with the persecution, I believe that Lithuanian experienced, some persecution during the communist time also. So that's why now I talked with Father Jonah yesterday or this morning. Said why we have a lot of vocation in Vietnam right now. I believe that because of Vietnamese martyr, they set a good example for all of us. Right now, let me tell you that the Catholic Church in Vietnam have plentiful vocation. All of the religious order have a long life waiting list, for the candidates. One diocese in the middle of Vietnam, the most difficult diocese in Vietnam, have 600 candidates last year to enter the seminary. Unfortunately, they don't have enough facility. Can you believe that 600 people for this facility? That's impossible. So people have to get in line. I really don't know why, but I thought that something is about the honor that we learn, but also this comes from the tradition, the Catholic tradition we believe. This is the current situation for the Catholic Church in Vietnam. There are the 3 archdioceses, 24 dioceses in Vietnam, because the church still under the communist regime. So Episcopal appointed by the Pope have to be informed and approved by the government, right? So the church right now, basically, church have all of the activities right in the church buildings. They build more churches, more convents. They have Marian Days, especially this week. Have you ever heard about the Marian Days in Missouri? They have like every year around this time before the Feast of Assumption, we have about 40 to 80,000 Vietnamese American gather in the small town in Missouri, just for Marian days. We have a great devotion to Mary. Yeah. So this year is more interesting that I thought it's kind of the genius idea from the bishop. They form, the soccer teams for 20 dioceses, and all of the clergy play the soccer. They got a tournament from July till October, so they will go into the final match in October. So all of the priests and deacons get together and play soccer. Well, another thing that that Vietnam have so many priests. So that's why, I guess so they don't have to be very busy during the weekend, so they can play soccer. But this is a very genius idea because they could invite a non-Catholic audience, and this is a way for evangelization. They invite even, police, the government officer, to attend it. And this is a big deal right now for the Catholic Church in Vietnam. Right, so this is a one-up. They call the Synod Soccer Cup 2022. The man right in the middle, he's a bishop in Saigon. Yeah, can you see? That's unbelievable. So right now, after 1975, as you know, that all of the property of the church were confiscated, and Catholic education and healthcare has been suppressed, right? Even now. So religious sisters have only permit to run the kindergartens. That's all. That's the only education they could do. Okay? We could teach theology in the theologies or seminaries, and open to accept the candidates and religious students. But other than that, like social ministry or hospital education is impossible. However, we believe that like Eastern European country, the communists, they cannot prohibit it forever, right? One day they will open. But if they open, for us to open the Catholic school, we need to prepare our manpower, faculty members from now. So that's what I say to the sister. When you come here to study, try to learn many different things, different major. Don't study only theology. Well, we have enough theology professors now, but now the sisters come here and they study social work, nursing, medical, and many different fields, with the hope that once the government is more opening, they will open the school, hospital, and some other things. Yeah. Any question? Any concern? Yes. Yeah, for religious sister, kindergarten is the only business. They accept the student and they charge the tuition. Right? So each religious congregation have so many schools of kindergarten. That's what they have. For the church, diocese, I guess they got the support, the stipend. It's very interesting that in Vietnam we don't have the priests don't have a salary. They don't have salary. All of the things they have is from stipend, from the petition that the lay people put in the envelope. And sometimes in the poor area, like the villages, lay people don't have money, so they offer the priest like a chicken, offer a duck, offer the meat, a fish, something like that. So that's the way they survive. Yeah, but we don't have any income, regular income or investment at all. Yeah, we do. They build the huge churches, but all of that come from the donation of lay people. Yeah, so and lay people they could have business they open, and some of them are very wealthy, millionaire, I believe. Yeah. No, no, we cannot build by chicken. Yeah. So, um, okay, so the next one is religious vocation. All religious order have increased their members, and their average age is around 30. Yeah. So sometimes I thought to myself that if I have been in Vietnam, I would not have been able to enter the Jesuit. Because it's so much waiting list, and sometimes it's very competitive. You have to take the entrance exam, show the good score, and the priest, have to interview you, and you have to show that you are very well qualified candidate, so they could admit you into the convent, the religious community, or the seminaries. Yeah, so it's hard. Yeah. Like I say, religious right now engage in different social ministry, especially during the pandemic. Um, the religious sister cannot open the hospital, but they volunteer. They volunteer to help people during the lockdown time. They cannot, they could not go to do the shopping, so the religious sister have to go out and do shopping and cook, provide a meal and food for people who have been in quarantine. Yeah, so this is a this is the map of Vietnam. We have about 27 dioceses, 50. This is the map that we use to show that for our group formation support for Vietnam, for the past 14 years, we sponsor many priests, religious sisters, and seminarian from 27 dioceses, 53 religious congregations, and we also sponsor some religious from China. They belong to Underground Church. Okay, so we have about 3 sisters and 3 priests from China currently study in the U.S. and 1 from Thailand. Okay, we have more religious sisters than priests. We sponsor more religious sisters than priests. Do you know why? Huh? Yeah, but seminarian and priests, I think they have more than a sister. Because in the country like Vietnam, it's very masculine culture, right? As a man or the priest has more privilege than women, right? You know that from Israel, from other developing country. So as a patriarch country, the priests or seminarians have more, access into more opportunities into education. The sister, the woman, they don't, right? They don't have that. That's part of issue of justice. So when I returned to Vietnam, I saw, the disparity between men and women. I guess that I got the Jesuit blood, and I thought, wow, we need to do something, not about women or man, for the poor, for the outcast. Whatever you say about the nun, the outcast, that's what we love to help. And then the Jesuit, we have the motto that help those who don't have anything or do not have anyone to help them. So we go to help the marginalized, the outcast, the excluded, discriminated, right? So that's why we brought so many nuns here to study. The priests, they have a propaganda day in Rome to help them, right? They have the many groups from Paris that they could have the full scholarship But the local diocese congregation of the sister do not have those opportunity to contact with the world, with the international community. So that's why when I returned there, I talked with the board that we need to help the sister. Okay? And when they come here, I talk with their superior, help them, allow them to study whatever the Holy Spirit, inspire them. Don't just, order them to study theology or philosophy. Inspire them, whatever their dreams, that their inspiration about. So many sisters love to do psychologists or medical nurses, social worker, education, whatever dream, and some of them become the graphic designer or computer science. I thought that was wonderful. Yeah. So and then if we have the opportunities here, many sisters would love to do education in the doctorate degree. So right now we have more than 20 sisters doing the PhD in different fields in the U.S. And we are very blessed. We have like one sister now studying at Yale University and even University of Chicago. This are things. He experienced working with the Vietnamese. In Vietnam, they don't have these opportunities of studying. So when they come here, they take every minute, okay, and as an opportunity, and they work extremely hard. And I can see that, I compare this with many American students where I am teaching at Loyola. They take everything for granted, They got the money, they got a financial assistance from their parents, and they don't want to work at all, And I see that my nephews also. But this sister has been suppressed, by the culture, by the government. And so when they come here, they take everything, and work extremely hard. The sister, I know that when she, start the school at Assumption University, after 1 or 2 years studying English, she said, I'm not ready, I'm so nervous, I don't know whether I can do it. And I said, jump, like jump into the water and then you know how to swim. But I know that she worked extremely hard. And that's why, she got through the program after 4 or 5 years. And now she got a master degree in counseling, clinical counseling. And I believe that her superior allowed her to move on to be the doctor of psychology, maybe next year. Yeah. All right, so this is information support for Vietnam, and this is the group we provide for many people. We have support more than 340 religious priests since 2006, and currently we have more than 200 people in the U.S. and 93 returned to Vietnam to help, in the seminary, become the professor in seminary or in many different apostolate in Vietnam. Many state-run universities even hire them for teaching. So this is the map of the U.S. where we have Vietnamese seminarian and the sister. We help seminarians to be here also because we know that the U.S. do not have a lot of vocation. Okay? Anyone here from Maine, from this area at all? No? Okay. So if you go to any, like even the chapel down there, okay, that we celebrate the Mass this morning, and you see the poster for the vocation in Maine, you can see that many seminarians, right? How many of them? 7. How many Vietnamese? 4. 4 out of 7. A couple years ago, I contacted Bishop Robert, and I said that, hey, you want to have a Vietnamese seminarian? He said, yes, if they can come, we would love to sponsor them. And so now we have 4. 4 of them are working in theology now. Hopefully next 2 or 3 years they will be ordained here and work here. Yeah, because we have so many vocations. And the bishop in Vietnam said, hey, this is the time we need to do the evangelization. We cannot stay in Vietnam anymore. If anyone wants to go out to the world, go for it. Yeah, and the bishop in Vietnam really, support the idea of missionary. We even, send a seminarian to Burkina Faso in Africa. I can't believe it. Why you stay in Burkina Faso? And but we have 4 of them in that country. Yeah, and we have so many also in Canada. So if you count from Portland, Vermont, down to Washington D.C., almost each diocese have some Vietnamese seminarian now. Yeah, so right now this is the sister. See, we have more sisters than priests and seminarians. Yeah, the sister is the majority number right now. FSVN, we have ESL, associate bachelor, and BSD, JCD, also the law, canon law. Also, yeah, that's in the 2019. All right, so I think that we have a few minutes left, but I just wonder if you have any question about this. But let me tell you why I come up the idea of FSVN formation support for Vietnam. When I returned to Vietnam and I saw the difficulties of the church, I come back here and I pray about it. I said that I need to do something for my country. Yeah. And then many bishops and Vietnamese priests said, why don't you do fundraising so we could build more, bigger churches? I said, as a Jesuit religious, I take in the poverty. I don't have money to do that, But I talked with many Jesuit professors and said, why don't you help them in education, Because education have the multiple effects on people. Education is part of the human rights. If you give them the education, they will transform their life and other people. And so we start from the education. We look for the scholarship at Loyola University in Chicago. And then, at the other Catholic university. And they offer 1 or 2, scholarship. And whenever I have a scholarship, I contact the bishop or the superior. I say, hey, this area have a couple scholarships. You want to come here? And they say, yeah, we come. Sometimes, I don't want to compare this model to, a business model. But I laugh myself that, look at Airbnb, look at Uber. Look at those business. They don't own any cars, hotels, building, but they still provide the services. So when I start this one, I said that the church can do that. We don't need to own the property, but we still can provide the services, the ministry for people. Catholic school, it's so easy for them to offer 1 or 2 scholarships for the poor. That's easy. Right? Yeah. So anyway, and that's why for the past, 15 years, we raise so many scholarships, but also we raise money every year. We got a gala at the end of the year when the sister and the priest get together, like 200 of them, and then we have the big, concert. We sold the ticket, like 2,000 tickets, and then we raise some money for them during the year for the health care, for the supply, whatever, personal expenses they might need. And that's what we are helping. Yeah. I have so many things to tell you. Believe me, I can, talk more, but I would love to hear from you, okay? Any question, anything you want to, comment or whatever. Yeah. Yes, go ahead. Yeah.
Thank you. Son? Hello?
Yeah.
Okay. You mentioned that your seminaries are full of people, full of candidates. Now, you also mentioned that the average age of these seminary entrances are about 30 years old. My question is there a calling from God that has these people coming in, so many of them at one time, because in the United States, in our areas, there's very few people who has that calling. And in Vietnam, it seems like, according to you, that there's a line out there lined up to get into it. Now, is that because the economy, it's easy for them to make extra, let's say, a job, money, but no calling from God that you, and usually that happens at the early age.
Yeah, I have this question all the time from American bishop, from American religious order here. People always concerned about, oh, you never know if they have vocation at all, or they come here, they milk the system, you know. Let me tell you this. No one knows, you know, for sure if we have vocation. We are not worthy, you know, for God's calling. We trust God. And we know that, you know, like the Father said this morning, God loves us. God called us first. It's not about us. It's about God. And I look at, you know, the Bible, the New Testament, all of the apostles, all of them are not worthy. They are not educated, right? And even, you know, Peter, you know, the head of the trial, he said, what kind of benefits, you know, we have when we follow you, when we give up everything to follow you? I think that even after Jesus, you know, resurrected, you know, they still confused, you know, until the Holy Spirit. So I believe in the transformation. I know that from the beginning, many of them, candidates, might not understand the cause, but at least they show the sincerity. We, you know, of course, the seminary and the religious order, they screen them. They don't accept all of them, right? Maybe 30% of candidates, they screen them, vetting them. They go through the psychological assessment and other stuff, you know, like American here. And then during the time, you know, novitiate, or first couple years, they taught them how to pray, how to have their relationship with God. And so slowly, they develop. Believe me, you know, I talk to myself, the first couple of years when I entered the Jesuit, I have no idea whether I have a call. I ask God, God, help me, answer me, if you call me to be in this religious life. If not, let me go home, you know. I ask him all the time. And one day, you know, in the 30-day retreat, I feel the call. I said that I love you. I want you to be in the religious, but whether you accept it. It's hard. But I know that in the religious, it's the transformation. It's the part we call the formation. And I believe that those who don't have the vocation, they cannot stay long. They will, you know, drop down, you know, along the way. Yeah. So, is that help? Okay. Yeah.
Yes, thank you for a very interesting talk. Many things that I at least had no idea about how vital the Catholic Church was operating in Vietnam. It seems from what you were saying that it is really fairly easy for Vietnamese Americans to go to Vietnam, and to a certain extent, I guess, for Vietnamese to come out to America. So there is not so much an iron curtain as a real active interchange between the two populations. And so my question is there, and this is talking not only about the Catholic Church, but about the Vietnamese American community in general, due to the relations they have with Vietnam, is this having an effect on the thinking of ordinary Vietnamese in Vietnam? And is there a difference between the ones in North Vietnam and South Vietnam? So what effect are you having on the country?
Under the communist government, well, you know, I think that there's some of the cultural differences and affect them. The North and the South. The North have been in under the communist government for a long time, since 1945. The South have more freedom, and we have been supported financially and many things from America, right? So I think that the South is more liberal, more freedom than the North. Okay? The North have been under very hardship, okay? And there's some economic impact on them. So that's why, relevant to your question, the North have more vocation than the South. Yep. In the North, we have more vocation. I don't know, sometimes, people say that, oh, people join the vocation because of economic motivation. But I thought, yeah, the apostle might be the same. Yeah, the apostle, when they enter, follow Jesus, look at Peter. He saw, Jesus, have a miracle casting so many fish and say, oh my goodness, I'm a sinner, keep, myself away from you, because he see, Jesus, have the benefit. He could be the miracle worker, and then he could sit on the right or the left, of Jesus when he entered the kingdom. So I think that each person have some, not very pure, motivation to enter the religious life. And I think that economics somehow affects on them. I hope that along the way in the religious life, those motivation will fade away, And when, they have better understanding of their vocation. But yes, that's one of the things that impact on them.
I'd like to make a comment that just kind of came to me from my own interaction. Studying for them is very hard. Very hard. The schools in Vietnam are on a different model. They're on the same model in a high school, for example, where basically the teacher gets some information and the student regurgitates it. You're thinking of the same thing that we went through, most of us. We're in school and we interact. We're asked to think, critical thinking, all that kind of stuff. So in essence, the kind of schooling that you have is not the kind of schooling that they had. So they have to switch from the model of being regurgitating to actually being thinkers. And beyond that, as religious, and most of them have been in it now for maybe, say, 10 years or so. They may have joined young at the age of 18. Now these girls, because of my age in terms of that, they're very dear, but when you look at them, when they're 35, they had 18 years of religious experience, novices, permanent vows, but there's still this thing about terms, God is the answer to everything. So when they write a paper, theology paper, English paper, analyzing some story, what's the conclusion? God did it. God's the answer to everything. In other words, essential in there, that's the response. So what you don't get in their essays and their thinking in there, the thinking of breaking through, I have to think of my own. So I saw this happen in this particular nun. And just about in the middle of her, by sophomore, junior year, her essay, her writing became sort of had a breakthrough. And now that she's doing psychology papers, there's a lot of stuff in there to read through, a lot of technical stuff. I didn't realize there were many those kinds of psychology to study. And she's reading through it and delivering papers that actually are scholarly. And there's thought behind it, and there's interaction, and some thinking of her own emerging on that, along the way. So all of those breakthroughs are really difficult to make. The transition there is very difficult. And so you mentioned that they study hard. Absolutely. Now, there's one, in fact, you can't spend that much time with an individual in there before long, and they begin for them to call your American dad, which I turned out to be. So there's an American dad and, of course, a Vietnam dad. Now, she started to use the word daddy, and I said, that may have, when you go on, you learn it has some other unfavorable connotations. So dad is good. Daddy is save it for somebody, save it for your own father, type of thing, for your real father.
Yeah, they call the nuns, yeah, in the convent is grandma. Yeah, because we respect, the elderly. So that's it, the honorary title. But talking about the education, yeah, in Vietnam, we learn the methodology, pedagogy of Vietnamese, is basically just memorize. We memorize everything. Whatever the teacher says, you just memorize and respond to them, and then you get a good mark. Another thing is that under the communist propaganda, they want you to memorize. They don't want you to have a critical thinking or challenge the government, or you become the descendant voices against the government. So everything they say is good. They say that Vietnam, the communists, is the best political system, and you knock your head and say, yeah, they are the number one. Right? There is no critical thinking about that. Right? So when the sister come here, American teach them about the critical thinking, critical analysis, and then it's like the open eyes for them, right? And now I feel so much joyful when they return to Vietnam. They could write the research paper, the books, to challenge, the government, to challenge the culture, especially the patriarch culture. And the sister even said that the church in Vietnam were founded not by men, not by the clergy only, but by the sister. And they said that the culture, the Vietnamese culture originally was the matriarch culture, like woman has the power, more power. But the reason why we moved from matriarch culture to patriarch because of a Chinese invasion. Chinese, imposed Confucianism to Vietnamese. So they wrote those research papers. I said, wow, I smiled. I said, I don't know if you have any problem with the bishop, in Vietnam, but that's good. We need to learn, we need to hear the truth. Yeah, so that's something, and come from your help, from the Lithuanian sister, and hopefully in the future many of you would help, This is not the Vietnamese things. This is the universal church, and I think that, whatever we help, it just have a really impact on the church. Again, listening to what I say, you might say that, wow, that's amazing, okay? I appreciate that, but I want you to think much more than that, okay? When you take home, what can we do for the church? What can we do for Jesus Christ? Evangelization, the call that Jesus called each of us to be a Christian is not to be feel good in the church. What can we do? For more than billion people have not heard from God, or they have left the church. Right? What can we do? To love them, to accompany them, to love the poor, the marginalized, to include them. Okay? So I think that's the common universal call from Christ. And think about it. What can we do for Jesus? And I think that whatever you start from that question, believe me, Jesus will move you, will support you, and he could help you to walk even on the water like Peter. Yeah? Peter had that privilege to walk on the water if he believed in Jesus.
Father Bao was actually the director and the president of the Foundation for Mission Support Vietnam. That's what FSVN actually stands for. On the board, there were college presidents, there were not just college, but provincials. So he gathered a whole group of individuals, worked with them for a good 10, 15 years, and finally actually turned over most of that now to others in order to run. And if I'm not wrong, I think perhaps the president of Assumption may be the president of the foundation, or at least had been. So that in effect, And the generosity of Vietnamese Catholics is amazing, amazing. At any rate, thank you very much, Father Bao. It's been a delight to have you, and to basically not to engage in too much internecine warfare with the other individual here who belongs to the Brown profession. All right, thank you very much. Let's take a 10-minute break.